Okay, so I promised on the last video, if you watched it, the whole, if you watched it all, the problems that I've had with getting businesses going, or with the bank since I haven't been driving commercial truck after my business had failed. So after my business failed, I went and got a job with another trucking company, which didn't turn out real well. I decided I didn't want to be over the road at the time, so they gave me a local position, and I tried, to sell the infomercial can sell stuff for everybody else. And it turned out I couldn't make any money that, but I put a lot of money trying, and everybody else the market was flooded with their stuff because everybody was trying to do it. That didn't work out real well, so I tried something else. I worked that job until they decided they didn't need me no more, so I left their truck on their yard at the time, and even though I was right, they needed a local truck driver. They were not seeing it, so, we butted heads, and that was about the end of it with that one. Then the next business I tried was, I actually tried to make my own product and then sell it on the internet. I couldn't get anybody to buy the stupid thing, even though it was the same thing everybody else was making. It was really simple to make, and it was a bad product. It was a good product, but I didn't know anything about advertising, so I had to go learn that. So I took classes and extension courses and all that to learn how to advertise, which I still don't know if I know how. But at least I figured it out, some of it. I'm not good at selling things, at least so I think. But, that's a good thing there. And then after that, after learning about it, I got another job driving for somebody that let me run from Reno to San Francisco, or Sacramento first. Then it turned out to be San Francisco and back, which was great. I just had to take on more responsibility, being lead and all that, and the pay was pretty good, I thought. But like everything else, when I had vision problems and couldn't keep my CDL anymore, that job went away, and they did not work with me whatsoever to keep me working at all. They didn't want me during the day because the manager didn't like me because I kept telling him he was a college-educated person that had nothing. His education had nothing to do with transportation at all, and he's trying to figure his way out around it. And he had to learn, just like a first-year truck driver had to learn how the industry works, and he just about bankrupt that company that he worked for. But I would get the night shift because we run a night, and I'd get the night shift. All the loads would get over, organized and perfect, and I'd know how many loads we're going to get out. Anywhere from 4 to 6 trucks were going a night, and winter, snow, didn't matter. We got stuff over Donner, even if we had to break the rules a little bit and go around 70, because we were 72 feet and 68 feet, and you're only supposed to be 63 feet. But I could get the truck I was driving down to 63 feet if I sucked the fifth wheel all the way up. It wasn't legal out that way, but I could suck the fifth wheel all the way up and be at 62 feet with a 53-footer. But the trailer was too close to the cab. It wouldn't turn safely. But for measurement purposes, you could do that if it was pulling into a scale and getting measured. But I always lied a little bit to the DOT, and when it was time to get weighed or checked or logbook checked, or just figure out who you are, and I yell at you because you didn't have your chains on, I lied to them when they asked me how long it was. 63 feet. And I made it every time, and we could get extra freight across the hill just using 70 and getting everybody across 76 commercial trucks was great, because sometimes the hill would be closed for 3 days, and you get the trucks across the hill. Then you take a day off because it added time. It would added time, and if you were following the logbook, you got 10 hours at home after that, and you had to sleep over in Sacramento or someplace. It was fun, but you know how it goes. Just got to get it done when you got the chance to get it done. That was one of those things that took grit, and we had to just once you had to set it up and get it going. If people didn't want to go, then I called the office and get them hotels, and they could stay in Sacramento for the 3 or 4 days in a hotel room. But I never did like the hotel. At the time, I had a girlfriend at the house, and I wanted to be home and snuggle up next to her every night. So that was my motivation. Plus, the 30 years of dealing with snow and rain, I wasn't going to let a closed mountain stop me from getting the job done. And that's, kind of the way it is. I didn't want to let anything stop me from getting the job done. And while I was doing that, I tried several little businesses. And right shortly after that job went away, I decided I wanted to buy the Disney Corporation. So I made up a business plan right here on this thing. And when it was all printed out, it was about that thick of papers for the Disney Corporation and how it would change and how it would do. And at the time they were having issues with the girl power, and they were losing money. Like they just opened the floodgates and just let it run out the back door into the ocean. And I was going to buy the stupid thing and turn it into, what it should be. I had all kinds of ideas, and still have them, but I couldn't get financing if I wanted to. So I took it to Bank of America, figuring maybe they could help. And I probably talked about this one already, but maybe I didn't. I don't know. I've been thinking about it, talking about it. Get this all out too. Get all this history of mine out of businesses, and then we can move forward to what I'm doing currently. But anyway, the Bank of America took a hold of it, and they passed it up the chain, and it got all the way up to the CEO's office. Then the lady from the fraud department saw it, and she didn't like the idea that I wanted to change Disney from the feminist organization they were becoming into another organization that was actually going to, make money, be profitable, and change the landscape of the dating and how people think about each other. And she attacked me. She said I passed a bad check at the account, and to my account, which I didn't pass any checks. They didn't put any checks in the account, but they ended up closing my account. Then tried to blackmail me from having another checking account whatsoever. And it's been a while. She didn't win. She made it difficult for me, and I had trouble getting accounts, but Chime was around. I got a Chime account for deposits, and I still have that Chime account. I use it for gas money now, or put my gas money for the weekend for the new business. I don't have a business account because I'm just a contractor right now, but it's still working. It's fully expandable. I just got to get the money saved up to expand, but we'll talk about that on the next video or next video after that. But the funny part about the whole thing is, I built that business plan to buy the Disney Corporation, and it was billions and billions of dollars. I didn't have a dime to my name, but I built it anyway. It was good practice, but I learned that for that kind of purchase, you can't go to a traditional bank, because the ladies at the bank won't like the idea that you're actually going to make women accountable and stop stupid things that Disney's doing or did. Like the Clone Wars, the Star Wars, all that stuff could go away. The Proud Family, disgusting lying cartoon. There's other things that Disney's doing that change the public. Would have had to change the public facing to get the image right. Had to change the movies, what they're putting out, instead of putting the message out of girl power, or trying to make women a dominant message. I would have had to change it to more of a traditional, back to what it was when Walt Disney actually owned the place, which by now it would have been a $15 or $20 trillion business, but it wasn't about the money. It was just about changing the way people think, and that is and was the linchpin on, as far as corporations goes, on how men and women interact, because they're learning how to be nasty, like the feminists want, towards each other, instead of actually learning how to get along through the movies. Now Disney's pushing the woke gay concept, where everybody's got to be gay, and down there in Southern California where they're doing it, they're actually winning the war. They're turning actual straight individuals into gay or cross-dressers. Then they got the Dylan Mulvaney and all the other stuff that they've been trying to push, and they're still trying to push it. Just go watch The View. You'll see what I'm saying. Disgusting ideas. But I was trying, and the lady in the fraud department destroyed my account, and they gave back all the information I gave them, because they can't use it now, because I made them sign a piece of paper saying the information that's in that business plan was mine and mine alone. They couldn't run with it and use it on their own, because I've had business plans stolen before, so I wanted to make sure that it didn't get stolen. Like the stolen business plan that I had, I was going to make me a dude ranch. Not just a dude ranch, but a recreational center where you could come and you could stay in the old town if you wanted to, which would have been pretty much like Virginia City would have been in its heyday, which would have been cowboys and horses and no cars, no mechanical lighting, would have been barely any good, and code would have maybe put a bathroom in every hotel room, but I was thinking about a bathroom on the floor like they used to do. Just one bathroom per floor for the hotels, then put all the shops and everything else in place, and it would have been fun place to visit. And then about a mile or so away, so that you could have a good stagecoach way, put up a tower, a hotel tower, a big old complex, kind of like the big casinos, and fully functional. You have everything you want. You don't have to leave the building to enjoy anything, but if you did, you could book a ride. You could book a ride on a stagecoach all the way to the town, which would have been Georgesville or something like that. I didn't come up with a name for the town. And since I was going to do it in Nevada, out in the middle of nowhere where there's no incorporated areas, I was actually going to make it like a 1930 town, a boomtown that was just made up, and actually have two functioning brothels in the town that people could come visit. Of course, there would have been the general store, the stables at the end of town, or you could go learn how to ride horses where the dude ranch would come in. Then if I had if I could have got the money to buy the damn thing, set it up and all that, it was $4 million to put it all up. And I would have had property that you could go ride horses on and BLM access, where you could go ride your horses on. And then at the other end where the modern stuff was, I was going to put quad trails at the other end, where you could go rent quads and put all that stuff and the modern day type horse and motorcycles, and go the other direction away from the horses on trails and stuff and guided tours just like you would the horses and take advantage of the whole thing. And, it would have been a resort like none other. Excuse me. Dry throat. Getting old type of thing. But, it would have been fun. It would have been the one of a kind thing across the whole world. But, the guy that I talked to, angel investor, because I needed it all. I wasn't trying to bank at the time. I was talking to an angel investor, and he liked the contract so much. He liked the business plan so much, and so he took it, went and bought property, built the thing. He ran the business plan out to the conclusion of the business plan, a year. I didn't give him more than that, and then he didn't know what to do after a year because his business fell off, like I predicted in my business plan. His advertisement had to change, and because, after a year, the newness wears off. You have to actually get the town into some kind of movie or TV show advertisement, get them to film there or film there yourself, into some kind of series. You got to get that in there. And there was all kinds of advertisement built in. This is after I learned how to advertise. And, the whole thing would have been, if I'd have got it and had control over it, the whole thing would have been perfect. Would have been great. But, me and Donald Trump have the same thing. We envision things, and then when they don't come true, it would have been perfect. Anyway, he went bankrupt completely. He lost all of his money trying to keep the place afloat, and he didn't want to pay me the $4 million consultant fee that I was trying to charge him to help him save the business, which, it wasn't that big of a deal. The insurances was killing him because he was having too many accidents at the stables, because he was letting people, which I was going to do too, let people bring in their own horses and stable them there, so they didn't have to rent the stagecoach. They could just, pull their horse trailers into the parking lot and ride to the town where they had a room booked, and then they would have had to pay for a stall for their horse to be in, which it wouldn't have been a small stable. We would have been expecting, 2,000 or 3,000 visitors a week. It wouldn't have been two small hotels. It probably wouldn't have been a real small town, but everything that you would have needed in that town, as if it were in the 1920s, would have been there. A bathhouse, people like those things for some reason. Big old wooden or cast iron tub that was sitting in there that had never got the water changed, and you could take a bath in it. Conserve water. It's not something that modern people would have done. If there was any electricity being generated, it would have been windmills or solar panels disguised as shingles, so you couldn't actually tell what was there. They have technology that does that. Then, all the whole old town, the old town, would have been a fun place to go if you were into that kind of old Western vibe type of idea. If you weren't, the big restaurant, casino, hotel chain, or towers would have been perfect. And you would have barely been able to see the town from the hotel if you were up in one of the higher rooms. And then for the millionaires, there would have been, million or $100,000 rooms a night up at top, or even more expensive, depending upon what kind of traffic. And then, all the gambling and all the other stuff. And it would have been actually a fun place to, be, as far as I know. Then the other business plan that I tried to get going was the last one, that big one I tried. was when the Grand Sierra Resort here in town was for sale. I was one trying to buy it. I went to another angel investor and gave him my business plan and my vision to change it. And I didn't have any contracts that he had to sign to not steal it. Took him at his word; he wouldn't steal my my plan. Well, I was wrong. He stole it. But the hotel itself, the hotel casino, was for sale for about $1 million. Time you got done with all the financing and all that, it would have been about $1.5 million or $1.25 million, somewhere in that area. And then it was a money pit. So you've been putting money into it day after day because it only made money 2 or 3 times a year, and then the rest of the year it was just, sucking money dry. Now I was going to put a big ass concert hall on the left side over there towards the Indian colony of the thing, just a big ass concert hall that had 10,000 to 20,000 seats, where you could get big acts, big singers, avoid rappers. I didn't need to have that drama in there, but I was figuring I could do a concert a week. I figured 10,000 seats based on what the other concert halls in the United States were doing. 10,000 seats, or a concert a month, not a week, sorry. A concert a month. It would probably be bi-monthly if I really pushed it, but a concert a month would have been perfect, and then figure each concert would have made the concert hall somewhere around 6 to 10 million. And that is sharing the gate 50-50 with the artists, or ticket prices, because you not only got the concessions and the casino, the hotel rooms. By the way, every hotel room in town would have been booked solid if I had gone my way. Then the RV park would have just expanded into the Grand Sierra RV park, would have just expanded in, just been a retirement RV park chain like they do on the coast and all that. Just start adding RV parks to the system, and then you could go pay your fee, $20,000 or $30,000 or whatever it is, depending upon how many parks. Then you could go stay a week or 2 weeks at each park and then have to move on, as long as you paid your $30,000 or $40,000 or whatever it is every year, basically prepaying your stay. And that believe it or not, that plan actually works real well if you do it right. With the casino bringing in, everybody's going to want to be at the RV park, at the casino in Reno every week. That RV park would have been full. And the other idea is almost, crazy that I had added on to it, would have been possibly make the RV park 3 levels. So you could actually take your RV up the ramps and back into a spot, and it would have been all dirt. And same thing, it just wouldn't have had the sun. You would have had a roof over your head unless you were on top. And it's possible to do it. Nobody's done it yet, but you could have made that 6 levels. RVs coming and going off of that thing would have been interesting. And then the hotel would have probably had to been bigger. The golf putt thing would have probably suffered, but that's the way improvement goes. May have put another hotel and a parking lot out front over there on the Mill Street side out front, and then you would have probably had to put a parking garage somewhere on the property. But that was my general idea, thought for the thing, and until the angel investor disappeared with my business plan, and he went bankrupt, sold it, and he sold the hotel to the Row downtown, the owners of the Row downtown. Then they sold it to somebody else, and now they're basically running the same plan, except for they've changed it quite a bit, and they're putting a a new hotel where the RV park's at, and they are putting a sports complex out front, which is okay. I mean, it's not going to generate anywhere near the revenue that I was thinking it should have generated, but you win some, you lose some, and I lose more than I win. But that's just the way it goes. It's like making a light bulb. You just got to keep trying. That's the major big one. And then recently I've been trying to find somebody to finance some small businesses. I've been trying to find somebody to finance me a trucking company, because I had figured out how to use electric trucks for the states that require electric trucks and still use diesels and never have a downtime, never have a problem with charging, never have a problem with anything except for weight. The trucks are heavy. Like if you were to send one of those cabs over to pick up a container from the port of Oakland, you would have had to get overweight permits to get it out of the port of Oakland and into Nevada. But I would have had to have a halfway yard in Sacramento, and this idea would have worked for any state that required electric commercial trucks. Then you get it into a state that doesn't worry about commercial trucks, and then you just take old trucks and rehab them and put them on the road, put a driver in there, and run it to its destination. Or, switch it out into another trailer and then run it to its destination, which is all possible. But, I've been trying to get that. That's going to take me $4 million just to get the doors open, and it's going to take probably another $100 million or less to get it as big as the other trucking companies so that I have a fair chance of staying alive. But with my contracts and all the other stuff that I've embedded into that trucking company, there is no competition. And it would have made money instead of losing money, like most trucking companies do. But, I can't find anybody that wants to finance that. So, and the banks will look at it like I'm nuts and, throw it in the trash, because they don't like trucking companies because they're 95% failure rate in that industry. Then when the bars were for sale here in the area, I was trying to buy a bar. Just one. Because I thought that would be something interesting. It'd give me something to learn every day, and it would make things interesting. So I'm not doing that. I couldn't find a loan, so I backed off on buying the business because I can't get that kind of money at the moment. But, when I can, I will. And then maybe I won't. So, I was on unemployment for the longest time because my last employer fired me. I think I mentioned that recently. Then then they decided to protest that I was on unemployment. I guess they had some kind of revenge fantasy going, and they got their way and used their policies to cost me $6,400. And now that's just growing interest because I can't afford to pay it. So I've got myself basically a business. It's not required business, but I'm a contractor or a subcontractor for Amazon Flex, delivering packages for them. And yes, it is expandable. It's just going to take time. It's going to be the slow way. It's like leasing a big truck to PST or Swift. Took me almost 3.5 years or 2 years to get out of that grind where you're working for them and they set the price and you got to accept what you can get, and everybody else is competing with you to get. It's a pain in the ass, but it's working. It's enough to pay the bills, and I'm putting money in the bank, and that's all that really matters. I'm getting money in the savings account. Then when I get enough money to be able to upgrade my business, and then I'm going to go upgrade my business, upgrade the car, upgrade the vehicle, maybe turn it into a full-blown trucking company if I can still find a loan, because I'm looking. But the whole problem is with me starting another trucking company is I can't drive the truck. So I'd have to hire drivers, and I'd have to have enough money to actually pay the drivers or make enough money to pay the drivers, the insurance, the road taxes, all the other crap that goes with having a truck. But, the trucking industry has become so dangerous lately. That's another thing I should talk about. Because governors and Joe Biden, the President of the United States, disrespected the trucking company. That's like that's a heavy piece of machinery that you can't disrespect because it'll start killing people, and it has. But that's a subject for another discussion, and I'll update you on what I'm doing with the flex business right now. I'm treating it like a business. I've got the spreadsheet going on my what do you want to call it? The Linux machine. And I'm tracking everything: mileage, how much fuel, what I buy, car repairs, whatever expenses turn up on the while I'm out there doing stuff, and some stuff that I'm putting on there that wasn't for out there, but I have to replace because I'm doing it, like clothes. Then the 6,400 that the job, the DSP, Amazon DSP that I was working for, delivery service partner, cost me the 6,400. I should have got away from them when they cost me 2,300 in taxes. I should have left them the first year when they did that to me, because they changed my tax status from taxpayer to tax exempt. Feminists. Took it even with me for something, because I never did make them happy. I just told them what needed to be done. I told them the truth about what we was doing. I learned everything I could about how the app works and how the delivery works and how the LTL works. And, that's one of my mottos that I picked up when I was driving truck. If you don't learn something every day, something new every day, you've wasted a day. So that worked out pretty good that way. And, I got to watch the time, because here in about half hour, maybe 45 minutes, I got to think about packing myself up and going and doing another contract for Flex, because I got 3 of them today. It should put me at a $300 a day, which is nice. I make about $250 a day right now, and I'm trying to put 50% of that after taxes into my savings account so that I can upgrade from a sedan to an SUV for four-wheel drive during the winter, and it'll cost me more, and then the overhead goes up. So I'm looking at ways to keep the overhead down while going up, but Uncle Sam's going to contribute a lot to that, because just like commercial truck driving, there's a lot of things that I could deduct off of the bill that most of these drivers aren't doing, or I call them button pushers, because they'll sit there and refresh the screen trying to get new contracts. Well, they call them blocks, but I call them contracts, because that's exactly what they are. You agree to do the job, and since you've already signed up, it's just a contract. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and let this one go for the day. I've talked my head off on this one. And then when I get some more free time, I'll come in here and sit down and just do these videos like this. And I'll keep making videos talking about stuff like this and business. And I maybe even get into more detail about what's going on. And then on the news channel, or on this channel, I don't know which, but I'm going to start teaching people how to drive. I think it's going to be on the Northern Nevada Dispatch channel instead of this one, because this one's going to be more about what I'm doing in business, and then all the interesting things I find around the area, the history and the grit and lore and what people have done. And like I found the underground Reno where the mob outrun the revenuers video. I found that story interesting. So, if I find things like that, I'll do videos on them. And if I can get a better vehicle where I can get off road, like an SUV, four-wheel drive SUV, and work my way into one of those off-road teardrop style camp trailers. I'll probably end up doing tents for a while, but I don't like sleeping on the ground. But then I'll go out to wherever this thing is in Nevada and put that series in and do that. But I've got this business series and the stories, the weird stories about the Nephilim and all that. That's all done. I'm not doing that no more unless I get requests for it, because I've already covered all the bases. I might even do some research and figure out why they called Reno the biggest little city in the world. And it's a pretty interesting story. I've heard it before, so it might be fun to do. But those kind of things we're going to get done on this channel, and whatever else works out. Anyway, take care, be safe, and we'll talk to you next week.